Recording. All right, cool. So, hello, my name is Angel Manuel, and I have a very special guest. This young man started out in Southern Illinois and got his bachelor's in business and psych, and then his MBA from the school I actually wanted to go to, Kansas. You went to school with the number one overall pick in the 1988 NBA draft, Danny Manning. He got his PhD from Indiana, where they were coached by a guy named Bob Knight. Maybe somebody's heard of him. Worked at Payless, not as a cashier or an associate. This guy was kind of a decision maker. Worked at California State, but they weren't as cool as the school that I'm in right now, where he is the dean of College of Business and Management at Northeastern Illinois University, and he's constantly taking care of his students. I am one of them, and I can attest to that. Mr. Mike Bedell, how's it going, guy?
Oh, not too bad. Glad to be here today. Thanks for inviting me.
So, what do you think of your intro?
Man, pretty good. Sounds like something I may have written.
um, so yeah, tell me about yourself. You started out in Southern Illinois.
Yeah, I grew up in Belleville, which is actually right outside St. Louis. Um, my dad's a retired accounting professor from St. Louis University. So
Wow.
to some extent, I followed in the family footsteps. My younger brothers did not, but we all have MBAs because my dad felt that was a really important degree to have
Wow.
rather than just a bachelor's. And so, of course, I went on to get a PhD, but, don't hold it against me that I grew up in Belleville because that means I'm a Cardinal fan, not a Cubs fan.
I know you're a Cardinals fan in Chicago.
Yeah, go Sox. Anyway, as we used to say, Wrigley Field's a great place to see the Cardinals play ball. So, much like the Cubs fans always say that Milwaukee's a great place to see the Cubs play
Cubs, yeah.
balls.
There's a lot of Cubs jerseys in St. Louis. I've seen that before.
Oh, there are. It's a good rivalry. So, the other thing we've been saying lately to the Cubs fans is, hey, you're due again in another 108 years. So.
Oh my God. God forbid.
So, but anyway, so that's
That was a dope party though. In 2016.
Exactly.
I think I was out. Oh man. I was out until like 3 a.m. that night.
Yeah, that'd be a good thing. Anyway, so grew up in St. Louis basically. Moved over to Lawrence, Kansas. Here's the piece most people don't know is I actually started college on a trumpet scholarship.
What's that?
A music scholarship. I play trumpet.
Music scholarship. Oh,
Yeah.
wow. You play trumpet?
I do.
Oh,
Kansas,
nice.
Kansas Jayhawks marching band. Played a lot of jazz. Played a lot of concert band stuff. Since I started with a trumpet scholarship, my dad always said, make sure you've got a backup major
Mm-hmm.
in the event. I'm going to fix this window. In the event that music becomes harder work than what you want, because it will. When it becomes hard, you may not want to do it anymore for the kind of money they pay. And so, so he was wise about that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll just tell you, great guy who was the trumpet teacher at Kansas, but it took all of a half semester for me to go, nope, go into the second major.
Really?
Well,
One
this
semester?
gentleman's prior job was first trumpet in the Marine Band at the White House, and he believed that in a 24-hour day, that you should be outside of music classes and going to your other classes, that you should be practicing at least 8 hours a day. So
he wanted you to treat it like a job.
he wanted everybody to treat it like a job. And to his credit, I mean, there's a lot of great trumpet players out there in orchestras and things, around the country right now some are also conductors that, treated it like a job. And so there's a reason that's a top 20 music school. So,
Really?
but it is.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
So anyway, I jumped over to business, became an accounting TA as a junior. So that's where I first started teaching college. Had a great time. Watched a lot of basketball, watched a lot of really bad football.
I didn't even know they had football, to be honest.
Oh, they got football. A guy by the name of Gale Sayers played at Kansas. You might know that name. He was a Bear, and he passed away a few years ago. But
yeah, I remember that name.
yeah. But anyway, 1988 was pretty awesome. National championship.
I know.
Danny and the boys. If you can imagine, after the round, so they go round of 64 down to 32. After the round of 32 on the Sunday afternoon, the entire campus turns out in the center of campus and is this mob. And, you just brought your beverage with you no matter what it was. All right. So by that year, Kansas has just reached age 20 for alcohol because it was 18. Then it became 19, then it became 20. You get the idea. They ratcheted it up to 21. And so all these people in the center campus with drinks, campus cops, instructors, students, it's in the evening and everybody's just hugging everybody. I got more kisses from sorority girls than probably, you get the idea. But then this repeated the following weekend. And so the night they won the title was Monday night, and nobody slept. Everybody was up all night drinking and partying. The team got back because it was in Kansas City, so they drove the 40 minutes back. They got to the field house about 2 a.m, and everybody's there. Yeah, anybody who was playing in any Kansas band was encouraged to bring a trumpet or bring their instrument along, and so. Went and played, saw that thing. It was cool. Then again, 2008, they won again, and it was pretty awesome to watch that one too. So
you were in.
I wasn't there at that point. I was in Bakersfield at that point, but saw that one on TV. But I could vividly remember what it was like. So interestingly, did my bachelor's, did my MBA, worked in the banking industry while I was doing my MBA.
Really?
Kind of an interesting project, coupled with some KU business faculty who were doing some consulting work and needed some students on the ground in some of the companies they were working with. And so that turned into a nice job that supported my master's, got me through. Jumped out of that, moved over to Indiana to do my PhD. Bob Knight was there.
He was there for 23 years, right?
He was there a long time, and he's a guy you got to respect.
Yeah.
You just have to respect, not only for the coaching, but this is a guy that had exactly one player in his entire career that did not graduate from college, I believe. You can fact check me on that. Maybe it's 2 or 3, but he had very, very few. And in most cases, if somebody didn't graduate, it was because they transferred to another school and didn't finish. And that counts against Knight. If they started at Indiana, that's where the statistic stays. But he was really all about education as well. He was a man that did a lot of speaking out in the motivational circuit, and he would, take his expenses in a small cut, and he'd put the rest in a fund that he gave to the library at Indiana every year. And, a lot of years you were talking about 10, 11, 12 million dollars that he'd hand to the libraries. The other fun thing about him is anybody could take his class. He was the only coach that was still teaching at that point in time. And he taught a half semester class called the coaching of basketball.
Oh my God, that sounds amazing.
It was harder than hell to get into. I never did get into it. Capacity was like 8,000 students.
Oh my God.
Yeah, they did it in the field house. So yeah, I mean, it was kind of a cool place. It was a very different place. Indiana and KU actually have a lot in common. If you ever see Kansas, all the buildings are Indiana limestone with red roofs. Oh, wow. And all that Indiana limestone comes out of Bloomington or just south of there. So there was that kind of thing. But Bloomington's very wooded. You're in the north end of the Hoosier National Forest. It's a very scenic spot, and good place for academics. They became an Indy 500 fan while I was there.
Wow.
Win a few times. That's something I think everybody ought to do once, is go see
The Indy 500.
that race.
I've
I
heard
don't know about anything else but that race. So, and the only other thing I'd add is that IU Bloomington's got an interesting race they call the Little 500. That's a bike race. And if you've ever seen the movie Breaking Away, which is probably 70s era, it's a very young Dennis Quaid. It's about this race they do on campus, and it's a party too. So, in fact, that's a bigger party than when Indiana got close to winning a national title while I was there. So yeah, there's that piece. Where do you want me to go from here? That's kind of the academic side.
So then, how exactly did you end up going to Payless?
So my PhD is in HR and operations management with a minor in stats.
Wow.
And so one of the things that there were a couple of forces going on. For starters, jobs were very scarce the years that I would have been coming out of my PhD. Budgets had been cut. Universities weren't hiring as much. We hadn't seen the boom in retirements that was expected that would open a lot of positions yet. Faculty were hanging on the jobs.
Why was that a thing in the mid-90s?
Demographics, just age of faculty. There were an awful lot of faculty that were up around 65 that just hung on a little longer because the economy had turned down.
No, I mean, why did the economy go down around that time? That was around the time I was born, so I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly. So let's see.
This was the mid-90s.
There was a fairly regular cycle. And I forget what caused it. I know, about 6 years earlier, we'd had the October Black Friday thing. But universities and states just weren't hiring as much at that point.
Okay.
And it was just they didn't have positions, I think, was a big part of it. The retirements they were expecting hadn't happened yet. But I looked around, and first thing I did was extended at Indiana a year, got hired as 1-year faculty to help do something with the MBA program. And then the next year I was like, I'm just going to open it up to industry and or academics because I could go either route. And so I landed at Payless Shoe. I was, the weekend I interviewed at Payless Shoe. I got home. I'd been moved back to St. Louis by this point. Finished my doctorate, but so interviewed there. Turned around and actually got on a plane and flew to California to interview at one of the other Cal State schools. So I was looking at both, in terms of what was going to be interesting, and I opted for industry at that point.
But you always knew that you were going to be teaching academics.
Oh, eventually. Yeah. I mean, there's tons of positives with an academic going to industry. One, you get the practical side of everything, as I think you've noticed in class.
Yeah.
I've got stories from the practical side of how the theory actually works. Here's how it actually applied, right? Yeah. And here's where it fails, and here's where it doesn't, and those kinds of things.
This is how they fixed it later on.
Right? Yeah, exactly. But the other piece was, you're able to capture a lot of data and start research projects, which is essential for academics. But it's real data. And so it enables you to understand that phenomena from inside as opposed to from the academic perch. And so, a couple of the other things that were very fortuitous that I did was, Payless said, hey, you like information systems, do this implementation with our team. And so I did a PeopleSoft implementation. Actually, they had another HR system going in, and top management stopped it and said, okay, accounting just bought, and the accounting and finance arm just bought PeopleSoft. We want HR to follow suit so that we've got one integrated system so we don't have silos. So we're stopping the one you're doing, and we're going to put this other one in. And it was going to be a crash implementation. So we did a very fast vanilla implementation, as they call it.
What is PeopleSoft?
PeopleSoft is an enterprise class software product. They were bought by Oracle. But so you as a student, when you enroll in your classes, you enroll using Banner. All right. So the software that underlies Newport and everything else, when you actually enroll in your classes, that's actually a thing called Banner. And so Banner runs the class enrollment, it helps with class scheduling, but it also pays the faculty and the staff. It also, runs all the administrative side of the campus. All the accounting and finance work on campus is done in Banner.
So it's just like one program that involves
correct.
everything.
Right.
Okay.
All right. So in the College of Business right now, I'll digress a second, just say we have a thing called SAP, which is an enterprise class product. It's probably $30 million if you were to buy it on an annual basis. And we have it for free because there's an academic program. And so if you're in the right accounting classes or finance classes or the new analytics courses, you'll see some SAP showing up on your desktop as a student. So,
wow.
But so anyway, PeopleSoft implementation, moved out to California because I missed academics and teaching. Wrote a letter, landed on PeopleSoft's academic advisory board, actually helped them build it. They granted me a copy of PeopleSoft to use in the classroom. And, I was the second school to have it in the classroom, and my HR students went from not being able to find jobs to every one of them found jobs 3 months before graduation. So, it was an important thing to have and have the students, get their hands on. So, a lot of partnerships in Silicon Valley at the time that developed out of this. PeopleSoft, Oracle, Microsoft Dynamics, just to name a few. And then I'm an author. I author a chapter every other year in an HR information systems textbook that's out there. Because that PeopleSoft advisory board wrote the book way back in the day, and we keep it current. So
you helped literally write the book on HR.
Yeah, I mean it's on HR information systems, and how to teach it in the classroom. So
wow.
So anyway, MBA director out there, got to play with marketing and branding, and grew a program. Did a lot of distance learning because we had a remote campus 90 miles away from Bakersfield in a town called Lancaster. Mm-hmm. And Lancaster, California is right outside the gates of Edwards Air Force Base. So a lot of military, a lot of folks that wanted MBAs we occasionally also taught in another town in California called Ridgecrest, which is about 100 miles in a different direction from Bakersfield. They make a triangle. And Ridgecrest is the home of the China Lake Naval Weapons Station. So, which is a Navy base, a large Navy research base. And, you just see some phenomenal stuff when you go out and teach on one of these bases, F-16s 30 feet off the ground dropping dummy bombs, sometimes real bombs, just for example. It's kind of cool. So
you lived like 3 lifetimes by that point.
Yeah, I tell you, the safety manager for the range at the China Lake Naval Weapons Station was in the intro HR class I taught one summer. And Ridgecrest is about 20 minutes from Death Valley. So it's out in the desert. It's hot. You get the idea. Very desolate. But so this guy would run around on the ranges and make sure everybody was being safe. And it was just kind of fun to listen to his stories too, let me tell you. So,
wow.
Then, jumped to Chicago because my dean at the time said, hey, you're ready to be a dean, and I'm going to start nominating you for a dean job. That's how it works, is somebody who's a dean's typically nominates somebody else that'd be a good candidate. And I said, great, where are you nominating me for? He said, Montana State University.
Oh my God.
All right, so if you followed my life so far, grew up outside St. Louis, 17 miles to Busch Stadium to be precise, okay? Moved over to Lawrence, Kansas, 40 miles outside of Royal Stadium, if we stick with baseball stadiums. course, that fails in Indiana because now you're 50 minutes from, let's just go with the Indy Motor Speedway. It's 50 minutes away. Okay. Actually moved back to Lawrence, Kansas because Payless Shoe corporate headquarters was in Topeka. So Topeka's 30 minutes west of Lawrence. Now, Payless has gone away at this point because they did not succeed in transitioning to online. But so back to Lawrence, then out to Bakersfield. So Bakersfield's 90 minutes out of Los Angeles. You know, we could be on the Santa Monica Pier in 110 minutes drinking margaritas if we wanted to. So, you know, not a bad place. It kept the price down, but it wasn't LA, you know. And so we played in LA a lot. So, you know, you're following this. I'm close to these big metro areas my entire life. And then he wants me to go to Montana State. You know, no.
Obviously, nothing wrong against Montana State, I'm sure.
Correct.
But it's not Chicago, LA, Topeka.
Don't go Topeka, Kansas City, maybe, but you know, yeah. But again, my point is, I like a big city.
Yeah.
Always have. And so then this thing came up, and it was actually an associate dean job. And so I was the associate dean for a year. The dean left. I became the interim dean. Then I got appointed to dean and got us accredited, and lo and behold, here we are.
Yeah, so. Here we are. You know, thinking back on it, I'm pretty sure you do new student orientations, right?
I've done a little bit, yes.
And I think you did my new student orientation.
Okay.
And it's funny because I sat next to he teaches doctorate in accounting. What's his name? He tried to teach us SAP.
Dave Jordan.
No.
Gary Green.
He's Korean.
Dr. Yoon.
Dr. Yoon. I sat next to him. I didn't realize it. But I was going to meet everybody. That's kind of cool. I don't know the way life works out.
Yeah.
Kind of cool. Even though sometimes life can be annoying sometimes.
I hear you.
So you are a dean. How long did it take for you to become a dean? Like, were you 30, 35?
Oh, God, no. I mean, I've been the dean for just over 7 years. So I was about 45.
Oh, really?
When I became dean.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah.
I didn't know that you had to become proposed to deanship. Sounds like the mafia.
Well, I mean, you could just apply too, but you know, if you want to be considered a serious candidate, you get, you know, another dean friend to nominate you, who ultimately ends up on your reference list. So.
Okay. So you can technically just apply.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I'll put some applications in for dean next year.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
You only teach one class per semester nowadays?
Yeah, and that's unusual. Most of the time, deans don't teach.
Why not?
Well, because quite frankly, there's enough of the job that's, you know, if I weren't teaching stuff that I've taught many, many, many times before, this would be really hard, because I'd be having to, you know, build brand new lectures from scratch, that kind of thing. You know, when you've got, you know, past experience to build upon and say, all right, what's current, and update your materials, it's a lot easier. You know, the university, you know, they let me teach, but you'll notice it's always at night.
Yeah.
It is not part of my dean job description to actually teach. I opt to do it. And the rule is, if you do it, you got to do it when you're not in the midst of regular working hours. So
really,
I mean, part of the dean's job is to be the face of the college and to build relationships. And so if you go out to our webpage and look at, you know, the executive council for the College of Business, for example, you know, there's about 30 people on that council that are all people that I've recruited to be on that council. Some are alums, many are not. And they get together. We get together about 4 times a year, and I build an agenda, and I've got a chair, and the chair runs the meeting. I'm just a participant, and it's really about, what do we see that industry needs out of the business student?
Mm-hmm.
What do we see that, the industry professionals can tell me about how good my students interview or, when they apply for jobs, that kind of thing. What skills do my students not have that we can help them with? What internships does industry have available that we can share with our students? What jobs are there? So there's a lot of, give and take. They're a critical conduit to what we need to deliver. Because when you came in as a business major,
Mm-hmm.
did you come in and say, I want to major in business and here's the competencies I need?
No.
You came in and said, I want to major in business,
And that was about it.
and here's a program that's there, right?
Yeah.
Well, we built that program based on what you, the future alum, will need in your first and second and third job, I hope.
Oh, wow.
So where do I get that information? I can't ask you.
Because I don't know, at that point, I didn't know anything about anything.
Well, exactly. So hence why I have an advisory board. So, these folks come in. So that's part of the dean's job. Another part of the dean's job at many schools is to go out and fundraise. And we don't put as much of a priority on that here. I've done some. Another piece is to find grant money, build partnerships, any number of those kinds of things. And so, in a typical pre-COVID summer,
Mm-hmm.
you would find me actually in the office. Probably if you added all the time up, I was in the office. It's probably 2 full days worth of work. If you added up when I'm not in the office, you would find me in the Loop or out in Schaumburg or somewhere else in a meeting with, an incubator partner, a business partner, a potential executive advisory person, the Illinois CPA Society, any number of things. So, and that's really part of my job. And I do, in pre-COVID, I do that during the year too. It's just that it's a little harder to get away during the academic year for full days to run meetings downtown. It's doable, but less so.
So essentially being the dean is kind of like being the captain of a ship, right? Making sure it's on course.
Make sure it's on course, a vision, pulling the information together about where we're going to go, sharing that with the faculty and the students and the staff, finding the resources we need, deploying resources where they're needed to keep everybody successful, building, friendships and relationships with the outside world, in some ways being the chief sales guy for the college.
Got to be a salesman of the college.
Always, that's the reality. So yeah, there's a lot more to it. So,
Have you ever seen Community?
I don't know that I have.
Oh, well, it's on Netflix if you ever want to check it out.
All right, I'll check it out.
It's about a community college, and one of the characters is a very eccentric dean. So I don't know, maybe you'll get a kick out of it.
Cool. See something of myself in him.
No, I highly doubt this character is anything like you. So who made the decision to go virtual this past spring?
That was a series of discussions. In the spring, that was just handed down. Other colleges and universities were starting to go that route. It was obvious we didn't have a full picture of what was really going on with this COVID thing.
Mm-hmm.
So between the Chicago Health Department, which governs a lot of this stuff, because we're located in Chicago, I think they were providing guidance on what to think about, what to look at, and so on. So we were quite literally one day, the first order I think that came down was, all right, we're going to move to an environment where we want to minimize staff time on campus.
Mm-hmm.
And so College of Business actually built a schedule, pulled my leadership team together, which are the two department chairs, the associate dean, my assistant, because she's also the budget manager for the college, my lead advisor, Vlad Fernandez, and so I pulled this group together. Oh, and the faculty assembly chair. And I pulled this group together and said, hey, you know, here's what's coming down. We've been instructed to try and be off campus as much as possible. So, you know, what can we do? Let's start planning for that. And we literally built a schedule that had, quite frankly, 2 to 3 people at maximum in any of the offices in the College of Business every day. And then Fridays, we were just going to go dark completely because there's really no classes offered on Fridays, and we don't see any student activity. That's usually a day advising uses to catch up. And there might be a few students, but generally we're pretty empty in the building. So we opted to go dark that day. Within 10 days, the word came down to move everything virtual. We're taking the extra week of spring break to gear up for that. And we moved everybody virtual overnight. Wow. So, you know, that word literally came down. You know, for summer, that was a college decision. And for fall, you know, fall we were hopeful because of the way the numbers started going midsummer, and we decided we were going to attempt to run a bunch of hybrid stuff, where the students were in maybe 1 day a week with their classes, and then the other day working out of their homes. And then numbers turned, and so we switched on a dime and went full virtual. You know, and I'm open to ideas about how we make this better. So, but that's kind of how it went.
Didn't we do a questionnaire across the college, or was that just
yeah, we did
my classes?
No, I did send something out to you guys asking questions.
Okay. Yeah, because I remember filling something out like, how can we make our experience better? But there's really no way, like there's nothing we can do, right?
Well, I mean, I think we're starting to get our hands around it at this point. You know, for example, you know, I've got an update coming out to you guys, the students, today, and I've been in the process. It's on one of the other screens here. That literally talks about some of the activities that are coming up. You know, I've got an exec council member coming in to, you know, if you're interested in HR at all, she's going to do a virtual thing and talk about what's going on in that profession right now. You know, how do you get into that career? We've got, you know, some other activities going on, which you've heard about in my class, you know, in terms of a scavenger hunt, trivia night coming, and, you know, some of those kinds of things. So, you know, we're starting to get our hands around this and figure out how to do some more things virtual and, you know, make it more meaningful for you guys.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I did like that Scavify thing. I did.
Did you?
Yeah, I actually did.
Did you win anything?
No, I didn't. I don't know who, but somebody got like 1,000 or 1,100 points.
Wow.
I was stuck at like 200 or something. So one of my friends wanted me to ask you, how long do you think we will be virtual? Because at some point, Corona's gonna go away.
Sure.
But how long do you think you'll wait until after it's totally in the clear?
Well, I don't think we'll be totally in the clear when we're back in the classroom. I think it's still going to be floating around out there, and I think it's going to become a mop-up kind of situation where somebody gets sick, we'll jump in and handle it. I think the reality now is that if you look at the infection rate, you know, from the 3rd, because those are the last numbers, Illinois is off the chart, highest it's ever been. You know, if the infection rate's below 5, you're actually in good shape. Well, we're up above 11 right now. Wow. In our region, which is Chicago, and so you know, you're going to be stuck in this scenario for a little while. So, you know, and I don't know that, you know, just me personally, and, you know, the little I do know about, you know, how medical science works, I don't know that we're ever going to have a vaccine as much as we're going to just end up with good therapeutics, you know, that will help kill this thing faster.
I was thinking the same thing, because if I remember hearing somewhere, they did start testing a vaccine, but something like 4 out of 5 people got really, really sick
Right.
So,
Right.
and that's been what, 6 months now, right?
Yeah.
So figure maybe another 6 months to a year. And then at that point, it's going to burn through everybody, just like the Spanish flu did.
Assuming that we build any resistance to it. Yeah.
And oh my God forbid it mutates too.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So, I haven't really answered your question. The answer is, at this point, I don't know when we're going to go back to what used to be normal. Um, I think, if I had to guess, well, spring's already going to be virtual.
Yeah.
Summer, I would guess, will probably be virtual. I can't even begin to guess about next fall. We're just way too far away. But by then we will have learned more about this thing and about how to deal with it. So
I feel as if a lot of people stopped respecting the virus. You know what I mean?
yep.
Because obviously Thanksgiving is a couple of weeks away and people are going to go and see their families. And personally, I don't think that people should. Because I know personally, I don't know about you, but I've seen like 3 people drop dead randomly. And then one person said that he was like, he couldn't leave his bed for like 11 days.
Wow.
So obviously, it's real.
Yep.
And I don't know if I've ever got it, but like, I don't know. I want to respect it enough. And obviously, I can do school. I have a laptop, right?
Hmm.
Um, I think I don't know who exactly runs things at College of Business and Management. Maybe it's you, but they're doing a great job.
Well,
So
thanks.
yeah,
Yeah, it is largely me. I mean, I've got a great leadership team. But one of the our mission is you guys are first. Um, and so that means I got to have qualified faculty that are delivering the stuff you guys need. And that means my faculty have got to be doing research. So that's where I put resource. I put resources in the faculty so they stay qualified and capable. I put resources into the students so you guys can acquire the skills you need beyond just classes, and connect with industry and get jobs. Hence the new handshake thing we rolled out.
what I think is
So
cool is that you actually hired people to just all they do is run Zoom for the professor. Like,
well, all right. So, but that's this is an HR lesson, okay? So I've got 5 faculty
mhm.
who are 4 of the 5 are very senior, okay, and technology is not their game. All right. One of these 5, for example, can't figure out the copier, and so the admins help him, and so I'm looking at these folks and going, I know these are, some of these guys are just award-winning teachers, and I'm like, but they can't do the technology and do the teaching. So if I could build a webcast scenario, which is what we did, we basically set up 3 classrooms as webcasts. And yeah, I hired students to run the Zoom side of the technology. And the faculty just go in and use what they're used to and do their job. And so, that's fundamentally every manager's role, is to how do you make your employees shine? And so, that's what we're doing here. Now, it was kind of accidental that we had that gear, that because, all right, so, room 149 in the college has got 3 steps.
Which part?
Room 149, it's tiered. There's 3 different levels in there when you go in that room.
At CBM?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, I know that.
All right. So I use that room for advisory board meetings. I use it for other meetings. The
Yeah.
college uses it for meetings. And I've long thought we needed the ability to teach via webcast, because that was one of the state-of-the-art things that we're seeing coming. Go look at University of Illinois' IMBA. Half the program is webcast.
Was
And I
this
was like,
before the pandemic? Like you already
yeah,
thought this?
yeah, This is pre-pandemic. So back in January, before we even heard the word COVID, probably actually more like last November, I had told, my budget person that, if we've got extra money left at the end of the year, here's what I want to buy. And I said, I want to buy 3 more of these really big webcams we've got. These things run a couple grand a piece. And, I set one up in my office one time. I could read license plates at the other end of campus from my office when you zoom it in. So, anyway, the point is I wanted to buy 3 more of these, and I wanted to buy some computer hardware and build out a couple of rooms that we could, do as, Zoom rooms or, Skype rooms or whatever, that could handle any of that kind of stuff, because we really didn't have the gear to do it. And so we bought the stuff in January because we had some budget surplus laying around. And I figured this would be a great way to deliver some other courses and, take parts of the MBA online more permanently, take some parts of the undergrad online more permanently. Then COVID happens, and I'm like, okay, I've got 2 cameras per room in terms of what we bought. So if I make that 1 camera per room, and set them up as studios, I can run 4 rooms if I have to. And so we're only running 3 with an overnight break in between faculty. So maximum of 2 faculty members per room at this point. So I got 1 faculty teaching Monday, Wednesday, and 149, a different one teaching Tuesday, Thursday. And, the room gets cleaned overnight in between them. So that's where we were coming from. Just totally accidental that we had this stuff. So
I don't know. Maybe that's why you teach management. You sound like a good manager.
Yeah, try to be. So.
Do you mind if we talk about something besides school? I mean,
sure. Go ahead.
I'll be honest. I like Northeastern. I really have enjoyed myself there. But I don't know. I want to talk about something else. Is there anything that you've seen in technology that's like, oh, like snap, this is the future?
Oh, yeah.
Like what?
Well, I mean, some of the stuff I've seen, I saw, all right, if you go back to the early 2000s, some of the stuff that I saw in the corporate training world that was going on in Silicon Valley. Cripes, if we invested in this stuff, it would revolutionize what we're doing in the classroom. I think, some of the stuff that I've watched happen at, my brother's firm. My youngest brother works for I think they're a Chicago-based firm called Eris. They build Internet of Things devices. So if your refrigerator talks to the internet, okay, I don't know if you've seen that. There are refrigerators that, you can like text the refrigerator or get in your app and connect with your refrigerator, and it'll tell you whether you have milk or not to pick up on the way home. Or, if you've got a Nest thermostat that's connected via Wi-Fi to your house, or an Alexa, or, these are all Internet of Things devices. So my youngest brother works for the firm that builds most of these devices. And so, I think it's kind of interesting to see what's going to happen as that evolves. I'm not absolutely wedded to having internet capability or Bluetooth capability in all my devices, but my wife bought, I don't know what you'd call them. They're basically devices that hang in the electrical outlets and release a scent into the house, right?
What?
Yeah. Well, hers are Bluetooth controlled, and so.
That sounds like a normal air freshener. Why is this special?
I don't know, but it's got Bluetooth
That's cool.
capability, and you can change the intensity, and you can change the scent, and all that kind of fun. So,
my girl's brother, he tried getting us to use what is it? Bluetooth light bulbs.
Oh yeah, seen those.
Yeah, I don't know. It kind of scared me. I was like, they can hear me through the light.
Oh yeah, I gotcha. So that's an interesting thing in tech. I think there's a lot of technology stuff that's interesting that we're not even aware of. search engine optimization type stuff, out on the web page, and how you're being tracked. I don't know if you've ever noticed,
Yeah.
I'll look at an ad and click on something, golden toilet. And, next thing you know, I'm getting ads from Home Depot for gold colored faucets. And, so there's
a thing for a while, no?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. But, it's just getting more and more sophisticated and more targeted. So,
Getting so specific, it bothers me so much.
oh, yeah, I gotcha. So, but, here's another piece of tech, the thing you're doing right now.
I know.
I mean, my third kid is up at St. Cloud State in Minnesota, and he's got two podcasts. One is I think they call the Final Countdown, and it's a St. Louis Blues focused podcast, and his other one's a St. Louis Cardinals focused podcast, depending what season it is.
I thought it was like one show.
Oh no, it's two different.
Oh,
he's got different co-hosts. So
that's funny.
But the democratization of radio.
I know, I love it. I love it so much. I don't know.
So then, what about, you got a self-driving car, you've got, there's all kinds of interesting tech out there that's coming along. So
do you trust the self-driving car?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't think I trust it. At least
about
not
as close as I don't own one, but I've watched a guy drive into downtown Chicago during rush hour reading a book in his Tesla. So,
oh wow, yeah.
I went past him, and his car was slowing down, but
and he was just
he literally had the book on the steering wheel.
Oh my God. I don't think I. You know what? I can't say never, but it really does scare me. A self-driving car or self-driving trucks, only because of those philosophical problems. Like, do you hit one kid or one old lady? Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't think there's an algorithm for that.
No, not really. Not really.
So. I heard somewhere that that Japan is actually on the cutting edge of everything nowadays, or for the last decade and a half.
If they're not, the Chinese are doing some interesting stuff and not telling us about it.
Oh, I know. With the social credit score? That's something that scares me. I don't know if you ever heard of that.
I've heard of it. I haven't really explored it, but
I don't know. Do you ever watch Black Mirror?
I do not.
There's there's an episode of that, season 1. Maybe you should check it out, where you can rate people, and if your stars or whatever gets below 3, people just start hating you.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I don't know. Check it out, dude. You don't watch Netflix? What is this?
I do watch some Netflix. I mean, it just kind of depends what we're watching. I mean, Monarca is something we watched on Netflix. I don't know if you.
Monarca.
It's about a family that is allegedly does tequila, but they've got some other behind the more shady kinds of business dealings. It's kind of interesting. There's a show out of Spain called Money Heist, and it's all in subtitles, and that was really good, I thought. So there's a few things. We watch some stuff off of Prime as well. So.
What are you watching on Prime?
The last thing we were watching, probably Goliath. Billy Bob Thornton plays an attorney. It's kind of good. Although the second season was just way over the top in terms of blood and gore and so forth.
Really? A show about a lawyer?
Oh yeah, yeah. Check it out. First season was really straightforward. Second season was really gory. Third season not so much so far.
Write this down. What is it called?
Goliath.
Oh, okay, Goliath.
Yeah, I think the other thing we watch on there is Bosch.
What is Bosch?
Bosch is a detective in Los Angeles. Michael Connelly. I've read Connelly for years. One of my favorite authors. really well-written stuff. And somebody grabbed his books and said, "Hey, do you want to be a consulting director? And we're going to do this on Amazon." And the 6 seasons or 7 seasons so far, just all phenomenal.
Wow.
So,
Have you ever heard of a show called Utopia?
I have, but I haven't watched it.
It's really gory too. It's really bloody. I don't know. That reminds me of that.
Hmm.
It's kind of like gore porn, but I don't know. If you get past it, I guess it's good.
Gotcha.
But obviously, it's a big thing to get past.
I think the other thing I'd point out on Netflix, if you haven't seen it, it's the new Lost in Space.
Lost in Space. I haven't heard of that.
That was a campy 50s or 60s TV show. It was, or maybe 70s. It was, just bad. But it was a cult favorite, and somebody rebooted it with modern actors and modern writing, and it's actually pretty good.
All right, I'll check that one out. Do you mind explaining to me something regarding HR?
Sure.
Affirmative action.
Okay.
Now, obviously, I have definitely tried paying attention in class, but for those that don't know it, what exactly?
Affirmative action is basically a remedy. So there's 2 concepts. One is equal employment opportunity. The other is affirmative action.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. EEO means everybody has a fair shot at a job.
Yeah.
And if you follow equal employment opportunity principles, you should end up with a workforce that is sufficiently diverse, and you basically have hired the best people that you can find each time for the job. And it should leave all the decisions in an idealistic world colorblind, ethnicity blind, gender blind, etc. Most of the time, affirmative action only creeps in when you have been that company that says, "Hey, I'm going to hire all white guys,"
Mm-hmm.
or whatever, pick a group, okay? And then somebody sues you. They manage to prove it because there's a lot of proof you got to provide as a company. Company loses, and the judge says, "Okay, as part of your remedy, besides paying money to this person you didn't hire, you need to do some affirmative action." And that means you need to aggressively go out and recruit individuals from those various groups that you do not currently employ.
Okay.
It doesn't mean that you stop recruiting people out of all groups or any of the groups. It means you just have to more aggressively pay attention to how you're recruiting and try to get, let's say you hire all men all the time. All right, you would be required, you could continue hiring men, but you also have to start to figure out, how do I get some women to come into the organization? To make it really simply. Now, there's some other situations when you get government contractors involved, at the federal as well as the state level. They can mandate that you engage in affirmative action, in terms of what companies you buy from, that those companies need to be diverse, that kind of thing. So that's not a remedy, that's more of a mandate because the state's involved. But, states can end up having to engage in affirmative action. I think Chicago PD had to engage in affirmative action because they had, more white folks than not at one point. Again, normally it's a remedy where you're trying to fix a problem, and you only engage in affirmative action when it's a remedy until such time as you've solved the problem. The second time is, when government's involved, they often mandate affirmative action just as a way of doing business, kind of to level out the playing field. I think it was the idea originally, but you don't see that in every state.
If I remember right, what was that, 94,
right? 94, which,
where it became a law or something?
Oh no, further back than that.
70?
I mean, some of the stuff started in 1964.
Civil Rights Act?
Civil Rights Act. 1991. There's a second Civil Rights Act, I believe. Maybe it's 90. There's a half a dozen other laws or more that go along with the Civil Rights Acts.
I mean, I don't know. I've only been working for a few years, but it was a thing back before all of that to like ask a woman if she plans on having kids or like
Oh yeah, that
not
was.
hiring X individual for Y reason. Yeah, that's really, I don't know. That's kind of sad, I guess, in a way.
It is sad that we've got this society that does this. But the one thing I would point you at, and actually it's on my list to do today, is to send out to you guys in class. There's an article in Crane's Chicago Business this week, and it talks about the one thing I've said in class. It talks about why diversity and inclusion are important in business. And we've talked about in class, it's that similar to me effect. That implicit trust that you give somebody that's similar to you. And, so it becomes really a strategic advantage for a company to make sure they're diverse.
Yeah.
Because, what better way to sell in every corner of the city than if you're diverse? So
Every corner of the world.
exactly.
Everything needs to be global nowadays.
Yeah. So I mean, if it's really about making money, this is a strategic decision you got to make.
I don't know. I always saw it as common sense, but I guess there was a lot of people that were stubborn.
Yep, there are. There are many people that are stuck in their ways. There are, yes.
How much over 1 hour can you go?
Not at all, actually, but we could come back at another point if you wanted.
Oh, for sure. If you ever want to be a guest again.
I mean, we can continue talking at another point. So I do have a 3 o'clock.
Oh, okay. I'll let you
Call.
go. Well, thank you so much for your time, Professor. Is there anything that you want to plug besides our school?
Well, no, I'll just, I'll plug the school and be like, hey, Northeastern Illinois, great value. Number 2 in social mobility in Illinois for, taking you out, helping you earn more money. Nice price, ACSB accredited school. So
I go there. That's all people need to know.
Exactly. Stellar student here on the screen with me. So, yeah. So, schedule some more time. This is fun, and save your questions.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Professor.
Thanks. We'll talk to you.